So welcome, guys, to Product Stories. Really happy to have you here, particularly those of you who are here for the first time. So today, I'm really happy to have a great couple of guests on stage. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves just in a moment. My name is Adil Dewan. I'm a Principal Product Manager here at Qonto. And today we're going to talk about product roadmaps. So this is when you ask, product managers, what's your job? What do you do? It's difficult to point to one thing. You don't do the design, you don't do the engineering, you don't do the data. Maybe one thing you could say is that, you're responsible for what the team works on, how the product roadmap looks. So it's a really important part of our toolkit. And we're going to dive into it today with a couple of experts. I hope we're going to learn a lot. So I'll just ask each one of them to present themselves and also to tell you a little bit about the companies that they work for. Tatiana.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I'm Tatiana and I work at Miracle, actually. I joined Miracle 3 years ago as a product director. And my daily job is, I think most of you here, is to really align our company overall strategy with the market trends. And we develop products to make sure we drive growth and ensure customer satisfaction. Miracle actually is a leading company in the marketplace field. We did a platform that helps any big company to build our own e-commerce online. Typically, if you go to Lardut and you buy some stuff, you will see some products are coming from marketplaces, meaning it's not product from Lardut, and others are coming from Lardut. So behind the scene, there is Miracle technology to help onboard products from sellers or marketplaces and manage the orders from those, and that will go through those sellers. Okay, so every time you go to Lardut or Maison du Monde, think about Miracle. You will think about Miracle. Few words on my background before I give the mic to Ben. Before Miracle, I was in the aerospace and the defense industry. I was a procurement manager, and I was leading for Airbus, typically the procurement digitalization program. It means I was looking for the best tool that will meet our strategic barriers internally. So my customer was employees of Airbus, actually, and today my employees are sellers. And so the parallel is very easy to do. And I joined Miracle because I believe there was a more modern and innovative way of doing purchasing in the company. And I believe Miracle is the answer to really transform and revolutionize, I would say, the way industry are buying into online, actually.
So hello everyone, so my name is Ben Lotonde. So I'm the product and design at BlaBlaCar. I joined the company actually close to 10 years ago as a product manager, and I've been growing as the company has been growing into multiple layers of the product team to dedicated product and design. And BlaBlaCar, what we do long distance travel, short travel. We started as carpooling. So you want to go from A to B with your car and you want to save money, you offer the ride on our platform and you share the ride with people that we extended over 22 countries. So Europe, India, Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, and Eastern Europe. And over the past years, we've been extending that to buses. So we have our buses in France that you might have seen on the highways, and we are actually buses that we sell as a marketplace in other markets. So if you take Brazil, in Brazil you have 250 bus companies that you can buy online, and you can find all of those on BlaBlaCar. So we offer carpooling buses, and at some point we offer trains as well as a marketplace. So we offer the full spectrum of solutions to travel from A to B in an affordable way. And super happy to be here today to talk about roadmaps and stuff that we do in the product team. And I'm sure it might ring some many bells to all of you.
So, Ben, you have been at BlaBlaCar for 9 years. BlaBlaCar was one of the earliest French tech success stories. And what I really want to know, like in a time when the PM role is sort of changing, evolving, people have opinions about what shape it should take. How has the product management function evolved at BlaBlaCar? What did it start as, and how has it evolved, and what is it today?
So maybe if I take like 9 years ago, I think we had a role that was very much into the delivery of the stuff because we were looking for a product market fit. So the product manager role was a lot about what some people would call product ownership, in a sense that you would like build the specs and help running the engineering team and testing the product and tweaking. And it was not that much around the strategy and understanding what we should do, because we had a lot of ideas and we had to ship to find what would be the right stuff to do. And that has been evolving towards more of, I would say, a marketing and strategy part of the role, because actually we kind of structure more the engineering team. Actually, the result of what we had done before was because you had a bunch of engineers, you want to do stuff quickly, so you don't organize that much your engineering team. And as we structure more the team on the engineering side, you had like people, engineering-wise, managers taking care of the delivery and the day-to-day life of the team, and the product manager function being more able to go towards like strategy long-term, talking to users, better understanding what we were doing. So we've been seeing that evolution. The next one is definitely the one we're seeing where, as we've been growing engineering over the past years, now we want to grow design so that they take more space, which means that you stop having designers seen as one of the, I would say not a function of the team, but more someone that sits at the table with engineering, which we tend not to see yet. So that's the next step, so that product can spend more time, like thinking about strategy long term. Product marketing is one angle as well, but really making design stand up a bit more.
Yeah, that's a really interesting inflection, I think, that we're seeing in the market. It's the sort of realization that design can really play a part at the table. And just from our experience at Qonto as well, we are moving, I think, toward a setup where the PM and the designer and actually the engineer are really working as a sort of pod. And really working together and each bringing their own perspective to the table. We're moving more, I guess, away from, not away, but like we used to do a lot of generative customer interviews, qualitative interviews. And I think what we want to do a bit more, and I know that the VP of product at Ramp has talked about this, is to have, these more sort of aspirational, perhaps concepts that, we could build in the future, or, looking perhaps earlier than we would have at what a solution might look like, and actually not being afraid to put that in front of the customers. There is really stuff that we can learn from that. And PM and designer have been working on that together in product teams. So that's an interesting one. The other interesting one that we're hearing a lot at the moment is the launch, go-to-market, and PMM and PM. What are the roles? What are the boundaries of those roles? And Brian Chesky from Airbnb mentioned recently that actually the role of PM has actually moved to PMM, and that they've actually opened up a program manager role who's really responsible for OKRs and doing that more sort of strategic side of things. So really interesting to see the shape that it takes. And Tatiana, speaking of which, you had a unconventional path into product management. So really going procurement from the aerospace industry. Tell us a bit about that path, and how did you sort of integrate the product management part? How did you learn that?
Good question. Actually, when I joined Miracle, we had a great opportunity. As I told you, there was a very clear objective of the company. How can we extend to B2B market? How can we gain more B2B customer? And to do so, we needed to understand the need. How do they perform e-commerce? How do they do business online? And this part I was very good at it, because that was my job for the last decades. But now my issue is, how can I build a plan, a step-by-step strategic plan that is really customer focused? Because up to now I was used to
look on what was already available on the market and twist it to make sure it will fit my customer, my internal customer need. Though I was lacking this approach of really designing something on the purpose of meeting a customer where he was. The good news is you learn from people around yourself. At America, I was very lucky to work with very knowledgeable people on product. I was reporting directly to the CEO of Miracle, who is actually the first PM of the company. So I learned from him, I learned from others, and I also enrolled a training program on the product management for leaders. Actually, that was I think it was Vivo. And and I capitalized a lot on this training with the help of people I was working with. So, and now it works well.
Okay, super cool. All right, so let's get into the topic of roadmaps. And so Tatiana, Miracle is a B2B platform business.
Yeah.
The subject of roadmap, I guess, at Miracle is a highly contentious one. Like people are really sort of interested and have a lot of skin in the game when it comes to this. Tell us a bit about how it works at Miracle and how you create that roadmap.
Before explaining how it works, you have to understand how we organized. Miracle, the product team. Miracle is a company of around 800 people. Okay, but at the labs team, which is the equivalent of R&D, we are about 300, including product and devs, engineers. And if you focus on the product, we are about 50 people, including design, product content, and the product managers, right? So this community of 50 are responsible of establishing the roadmap. A second piece of info that is quite key to understand how we build a product is Miracle is a product suite. It's not only one product. So we have to manage the consistency of the roadmap of each product. Having this in mind now, I can explain you how it works. We are organized by squads, and each squad has the responsibility of his own roadmap. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure each roadmap is aligned with the global strategy of the group and the global product strategy, which is adding quite a complexity. How can we achieve it? Actually, we have built a community, product community per squad, per pillar actually, because within a pillar, you will have, typically I'm managing a pillar named order management. Within this pillar, you have 4 to 5 squads. Okay, so we have established a community per pillar with people from sales, people from business consulting, people from marketing, and people that we call subject matter experts, who are those who are supposed to have a close relationship with customer. We can dig into the tool. We knows very well the product. So we build this community, and they are really responsible of making sure the roadmap that we establish will meet the expected goal. And then once this committee was established, there is a process. We are using a single tool which is named Product Board, where we collect customer feedbacks. Only people from the product community can raise insight into Product Board using a very defined framework, actually, to make sure we get every information we need to process the insights. Because we had experience where people were raising, my customer want that. That's it. Figure out. I said, oh, we stop that. I said, no. Why your customer want that? What exactly the jobs to be done, and etc. I mean, I'm not learning you how you do your job, but framing the insight in Product Board. And then on daily basis, our product manager, they review those insights, and they have two actions. Either the insight relates to an existing feature that is in development or in an idea, they can link the idea to this existing feature. Or nobody has never raised this insight, and then we believe, oh, it could be an idea. So we create an idea feature and we link it to a new feature. may become a feature. It's not yet a feature. That's the second step. A third step, on regular basis, on monthly basis actually, we meet with the community, and the product manager is responsible to come with a deep analysis of let's say the most important insight he has collected over the month. He will have made his market analysis, meeting customer, understanding what they really wanted, understanding the market trend as well, what competitor are handling these issues, and of course understanding how customers are already using the tool to cover that need, because sometimes there are workarounds that already exist and we can learn from those workarounds. So after the analysis, we write what we call product brief. In the product brief, you will decline the benefit you think about you believe the feature will bring to the customer. You will assess the opportunity, the size of the opportunity, because it's quite key to us, and the risk associated to the feature. And once a month, we present to our community, and the vote, the review all the product brief, and the vote on which feature we should invest on. Actually, the prioritization comes after. Okay. Once we have all agreed that we need to invest more on that, then we need to define when the prioritization comes. And today, to prioritize, up to now we use the very basic weight score based on the business value, based on the impact we believe it will have on the growth of the business growth of our customers, because Miracle revenue is also based on the growth of our customers. But today we are moving towards a more RISE approach. It's very recent, so I don't want to elaborate too much on it, because we realize that just waiting the feature could have some bias actually, and we want to try a new way of working using RISE. So yeah, the list of feature we're gonna invest is decided by the product committee, and the scoring either is RISE or business goals are used to really clarify the plan, which one will be taken in priority and when. And I haven't mentioned the framework. At Miracle, we are using the quarterly framework. This framework was used because we believe it gives us the balanced approach between long-term vision and mid-term execution. It's the best trade-off we have found, actually, because as you know, in the B2B world, the market evolves very often. So we need to stay agile. We need to make sure we can readjust and assess our roadmap. And if we measure the progress of a quarterly basis, and we see that the trend we choose was not the right one, we can quickly adapt, quickly shift our roadmap. So we want it to be very dynamic and responsive.
I have so many questions. The notion of a community, it kind of it seems a bit like, you know, the TV show Shark Tank. You know, you have the community, and the product manager is coming to them and sort of pitching the idea that they feel is, you know, most appropriate to make it on the roadmap.
Absolutely.
I guess what I want to know is how does that? So the community applies a kind of scoring. Is that what you have?
Yeah, we make it very simple. Each manager has 15 minutes to pitch. Sometimes it comes with business case, and the community, each person has one vote. Actually, we use Miro or Figma. You have one vote and say, are you okay or not? And at the end of the day, we count the score and we say, did we kill this feature or we keep it?
Yeah, and it strikes me as quite empowering for the community.
Yeah.
do senior stakeholders, let's say the founders, do they have any say, like on say something is prioritized? Would they also be able to intervene, or would they be able to come before the community? How does that interaction work?
The community is actually composed of key stakeholders. I mentioned the people who are part of the community who are there. They are people from sales, people from marketing, product marketing, customer success, who can know the customer need better than them. Actually, they are the right people to voice the need of the customer.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically.
So I guess my question is, this is a unique. I think I've never heard of it before. How do you evaluate the community as in its role? Do you think that it's a good system for this kind of road mapping?
I definitely believe I'm an advocate of this methodology because it makes people accountable. They think twice before giving their vote, and they know in advance of the product committee what will be discussed. So it's their responsibility also to go and talk more to customer, making sure to make their mind up actually before the meeting. So we are not asking them to make their mind right now in 10 minutes. They are prepared in advance. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for that insight, Tatiana. Something really for me, and I guess plenty of us to think about, is this sort of democratic approach to road mapping. So thank you, very interesting. And so Ben, I'll ask you a similar question. So BlaBlaCar being a B2C company, what does your road mapping process look like?
Yeah. So maybe if taking a step back before I go into like the detail of that, the way I like to think about the roadmap is like three things. First is roadmap is a communication tool, and that's how I see a roadmap. A roadmap is about telling people what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do, and that's fun. Is like everyone will always agree about what you do. The questions are gonna be about what you don't do, and I think that's like the first thing I always tell team is you should build a roadmap as a communication tool, which means super clear. Like super, like in a way that everyone understands, and I think that's the first thing when we think about the roadmap. The second one is it's not like we just stop what we're doing and think about what should be next. Like for example, like we're right now finalizing the 24 roadmap as we have a yearly roadmap process. It's not as we stop and we say, oh, what should we be doing next year? Actually, next year is the continuity of what we've been doing this year, and actually the continuity of what we've been doing before, because some topics are long lasting, and actually we're planning 24 but thinking about what should be 25 and 26. So it's kind of like it's not like we sit and start thinking about what's new. It's more like what's the continuity and what should we continue doing. And the third that might be counterintuitive for the people here is the tip I could give you is do not apply what we're just saying, because that's very true to our company, our culture, our size, and the number of people. And I think at least in the past, BlaBlaCar have been a lot into like, hey, that company does that, we're going to pull that. And actually what worked the best is that sounds like could work for us, that sounds it could not work, so we're not going to pull that. And I think we pull. So the way we work today is a result of us, BlaBlaCar, as a company with the culture we have, the size we have, the maturity, the founders, the stakeholders, the C-levels, like how we work. So it's pretty unique into what we do. And actually each company should have its own way, the way I look at that. Now, how we do it, to go into the detail, is a two ways. So first, it's like a top-down, bottom-up approach, in a sense that teams and the teams know what they're working on and what should be next, because they have a multi-year strategy in a way where they're kind of clear on what they're going to be working in Q4 and maybe in the next year, and the year after they have ideas of what they should be doing because they have a vision. It's not super clear, but it's kind of have a list of things that they would be working on. That's like what the bottom up is showing, is like, hey, teams believe we should be working on that. And then the top down comes where actually as a C-level and executive committee of the company, we kind of align on what should be the priority next year. And actually we confront the two. In a sense, they say, okay, teams which own part of the product, that know how the business runs, believe we should be working on that. And we as leadership say, yes, and the focus this year is going to be, could be country, could be the business line, can be some stuff. And actually we confront the two, which actually help us making choices about what we should be doing and not doing. For example, like we could open BlaBlaCar in 25, like many countries. And the team that's working on that like actually connects with the leadership, saying, okay, but like as a strategy as a company, should we open no countries or not? And based on that, we do that, and that's how we work. So basically, teams like have a plan which is continuity of what has been done earlier, and then we kind of shrink down stuff from the list based on the priority. And at some point, what happens is that in some teams you have what we call trade-offs, where you would love to do everything but you can't, and we focus most of the discussions around those. So like yes, like tomorrow actually I have a meeting where I would say 80% of the roadmap is known because the team has a plan, and the plan should be continuing being done next year because that's the continuity of this year. However, there is a choice to make between two big projects because they can't do all. And that's where like the roadmap discussion is happening, which is like you have to choose. How we do it, we don't have a framework per se. It's a mix of costs, benefits, strategic thinking, and sometimes like short-term, long-term. Do you optimize for short-term EBITDA? Do you optimize for longer-term like growth? And that's varies among discussions and topics. So there is not like a magic recipe. But then that's why it's more like a constant discussions. And then whatever I'm describing here is super transparent to anyone in the company. Back to my first point of a communication tool. So like the roadmap of the company is known by everyone, is accessible by anyone. All the decisions we make are shared with anyone in the company. So that you understand why we're doing that. Which might sound as a lot of work to communicate, but actually it's probably 5 times less work than once you've made a decision, explaining it to everyone. Because actually you've made that process so clear that people can refer to it.
Ben, I want to get into a concrete example of how a major feature gets prioritized. So you mentioned earlier that BlaBlaCar now runs buses. Maybe if you could give us an insight into, how this idea came about and how you thought about whether it was something that you wanted to go for as a team.
I think this one is it goes beyond the roadmap, it's more like a company strategy. And sometimes it's interesting to see that people believe we made like a 25 analysis and hundreds of slides about what the market should be and should we go into buses and others. I think on buses in France, the reality is the day buses in France launch, we see we were losing passengers. So I don't say, okay, passengers stop using our product. What do? They go to buses. Can we compete on buses? Actually, we cannot. We can on some dimensions, we cannot on others. Maybe we should embrace the change and actually sell buses on BlaBlaCar. And honestly, what I'm saying is the chat we had, and it's not like 25 slides, it's one slide. And why do we want to sell trains on BlaBlaCar? Because we know passengers do trains and we would love them to book that on BlaBlaCar because we believe there is value in offering so it's more, it's interesting to see that those strategic choices sometimes end up being super simple. Obviously, it's not as simple as I'm saying, like you have a kind of a brain juice put on that over time. But when it comes to buses, it was really, actually the best way for me is you just listen to the market and you see what people are doing. And when you see passengers moving away from your product to do something else, the question is like, do you buy that stuff? Do you build it yourself, or do you partner, or do you accept that your market is going to be slower? I think you kind of pick one of the three ones.
Yeah, a really good point. And I guess like roadmaps in themselves are, they're not value creating, right? We actually we're looking to create value for our customers. And I guess it's really interesting to think, you prioritize an initiative like buses on BlaBlaCar. And how do you evaluate, whether the initiatives that you're prioritizing as part of your roadmap are a success? Like, how do you constantly check your process of prioritizing features and building the roadmap?
Yep, I think I would look at that in 2 fronts. One is, let's say, like the stuff you mentioned on buses. That's a company strategy move that is taking off, like is on a multiple year basis. Like for example, like we said we would do buses in Brazil. We started 2 years ago. We're not done. Like there are many stuff we need to keep on doing. So how do you monitor the impact is more like how is the P&L doing on that business? And at some point, like does the investment we're doing make sense? So it's more like almost a financial team point of view looking at that. When it comes to specific features, let's say adding a payment method, revamping the UX, adding a new feature, what we do is that every feature we do, every product we do has a very clear success criteria. It's just like that project is going to be done once we reach X or once we do Y or whatever. It could be conversion, like customer support issues, reaching a stage of like maturity engineering wise, the many. And we monitor success by that. So at some point, like you said, we would spend 2 weeks on doing that change that would bring X conversion. You do that, and actually you see you're not there. Yeah, actually, what do we need to do to get there? We keep on tweaking to get there. And at some point, you say, okay, we thought it would be 2 months and 10%. We've done 4 months and it's 2%. Then we need to stop, and then you funnel that learning into the next cycle of roadmap.
And Tatiana, same question for you. How do you constantly gauge the success of the things that make it onto your roadmap?
It's a good question. Love that. It's a challenge we are having. Actually, we are very obsessed about the success of what we launch. And as I told you, I mentioned the product committee. We do have a monthly product committee, and product committee, part of the agenda of the product committee is measuring the reviewing the KPI of feature launch back actually in the next, it depends, because there are some feature where we expect outcome in the next days, those we expect outcome the next 6 months, etc. So we review actually the key metrics of each feature with the product committee on monthly basis. And it happens that we have to vote whether we need to decommission a feature or not. It's not only about keep building, it's about making sure what we deliver brings value, and if it does not, we collectively make the decision to decommission actually, and it takes some courage, but we do sometimes. So yeah, we are very obsessed, and we make it we assess on a regular basis to make it short.
Okay, could you give us an example of a feature that was decommissioned and why?
Yeah, recently there was without disclosing, and it's tricky. There was a request from a customer to say, I need to. When you ship a product, if you ship a table, for instance, you can choose to ship the table into different parcels, right? The plateau, I don't know how to call it, the table and the feet of the table, yeah, in different parcels. And usually in America, we want to ship the whole in one parcel, okay? And there was a need to allow users to ship in different parcels and add euro tracking on each parcels. We had a very, very low adoption after a year. Nobody was using it. But when you look to the inside, there was a long list of customer requesting for it. So a year after we did a return and say, we keep following the adoption, there was nothing. So we all voted to decommission the feature. And guess what? When we launched the communication to our customers, because before decommissioning, we inform customer that we are about to decommission. And one of our big customers say, "Oh, come on, I want the feature. Just give me some time to do the integration." And we gave him I think it was 1 month. And in 1 month, he did the integration. So finally, we did not decommission the feature. That was the story. Just for a joke. So, but yeah, it's we were taking it very seriously. But why making sure we keep listening to the customer need, why they are not adopting the feature. Sometimes it's a matter of allocation of resources, etc. Yeah, I can give you another example, but I'll make it short.
No, that was really interesting. There's always, I'm sure we've all experienced it, this dichotomy between what a customer says they want, and then when you release the feature, and it's like, oh, well, why isn't anyone using it? Yeah, I guess it's always important to kill your darlings. There's a temptation like, hey, you've built the feature, like it's there, it works. You might as well leave it there. But it's whilst it's there and it's not being used, it's not adding value. It may be cluttering an interface. It may be diluting the core value proposition of your product. So
exactly. Sometimes it can I would say decrease the value of product and increase complexity. This is what we are fighting against as well, because when you're adding complexity into your product, it make it difficult to make it evolve. So we are also very cautious about that. And back to my example, this customer say he will integrate the feature. He did, and we monitor the usage, and also we keep following the usage. But because other customer have also used the feature, we review our decision to revoke the feature. But otherwise, even though he will be using the feature, we can have reconsider the decision to decommission, because if the usage is very low, for us there is no reason. It means the expected business outcome is not met, so we need to take action against it, open it.
And maybe sharing on that, there are so two stuff we've been doing that could be helpful for the group here is so we've been doing what we call simplification day, where basically we ask every product engineering person to tell us what they feel we should remove from the product. Could be features, can be, and actually it's interesting because when you ask that to engineers, you end up having a list of like dead piles of codes that is everywhere, and actually we should clean it, but we never have time. So we did that. I think we did that like 4 years ago, and we should do it again actually. But that's like hygiene stuff you should do. And the day we did it, actually we removed in a day 10% of the code base without any impact to anyone in the company. Actually, we just removed like dead code, features not used, like stuff we had shut down but never cleaned. So like in a day you remove 10%. That's pretty huge actually, and you should that's hygiene you should be continuously doing. That's the first one. The second tip I could give you is piggyback on migrations or like wide topics. The example we have right now is we have a super fancy topic of data retention because we store personal data, so we have to encrypt those data, so we have to like go towards all the data we store. So basically we have to, every team has to do its own part of compliance, and the guidelines we give to team is like don't just do it, like ask yourself, should you do it? And actually we see that we remove stuff. For example, like we were storing a car's license plate for vague reasons 5 years ago, and now that you have to encrypt the data, you're like, does it make sense to keep that? No, and then you remove. So like doing some, the way I look at that is cleaning your room, like your bedroom. Like you on a regular basis, you like just clean the room once and for all. And whenever you look at a place, you kind of tidy it. And I think that's how we run it.
Yeah, Ben, I personally have used BlaBlaCar in many countries, in South America, in Europe, and what I wanted to know is that you have such a diverse range of markets, so many countries. How does that impact your prioritization? How do you think about, should we launch this service in Brazil, or should we launch this thing in Australia?
So it's fun because we talked about that too, but in the team, so there are part of your products that you must localize and you have no choice if you want the market to grow. And at some point, that's kind of something that at the beginning you kind of like have one product. I'm gonna scale my product the same everywhere is gonna work. Guess what? There are like countries you can do whatever you want. I'll take like Poland or Brazil, where we are in those markets. There are payment methods. You don't have those, you don't exist. And that's pretty interesting because like you come as like your very like French-centered point of view that I have one product to rule them all. And then you look at the data and you're kind of, okay, we have to adapt. So it's kind of like adapting to that. Then prioritization among those is not that much a product only decision. It's like a company. Like today, for example, in our case, like Brazil is pretty big. So indeed, what is needed for Brazil goes before what is needed for Czech Republic. And no offense for people there. It's just like as a business, you have the size of the business doesn't work. So it's more a mix of the size of the business today and the uplift we believe. And for that, we product don't own the P&L in the sense that we have business team responsible to make those markets grow, and we build the product for that. And those people knowing their market are the stakeholders that tell us what they should be doing, but they understand the size of their markets and how they should play.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that we grapple with as primarily a French company as well. we tend to think that the features that will work in France will, we'll just be able to copy paste into our other markets, Germany, Spain, and Italy. And so often it's not the case. They really need to be localized, or there's a different regime in that company, and so you need to release a different way to collect money. I guess it's really a strategic matter about which market that you really want to invest in, and then going really deep on that market. I'll tell you a story about Qonto. So we had launched our German product 2.5 years ago, and for some reason we couldn't understand it. We couldn't crack the German market. There's a huge small and medium-sized companies in Germany, and yet they were all sort of either they were sticking to their traditional banks, or they were going for like German neobanks, and we just couldn't understand it. And then last year we acquired Penta, which is a German neobank, and all of a sudden, the knowledge that they were giving us about the German market, really small specific things like the format of the invoice is slightly different in Germany. It's like a letter format, so you need to, in the preview, you need to show the German format, and so we learned so much from actually going deeper and more local, and I think it's something we take for granted in an international company. You build a core feature and you think it will just work in all your markets, but it's not always the case.
And maybe on that, we have an example in Brazil, for example, where what you feel as a French person, or like someone in France, or whoever you are in a country, what you see in a different market sounds broken to you, but it's not broken. Like the example is in Brazil. It's a pretty fun one. So in Brazil, when you take a bus, there are classes, as there are classes in trains in France. So you have like first class, second class, and others. And the way the Brazilian market is displaying those classes in the transport world is we believe pretty broken, and so we built a solution that makes more sense from a UX standpoint. Pretty close to actually what we have in Europe. We build that, we show that to best partners in Brazil. They tell us, wow, that version is way better than any other OTAs, way clearer. You do user testing, people say, oh, indeed, it's way better. You go live, it doesn't work. Because the market is built in a way that even if what you assume is like better from a UX standpoint, the market inside it is so it's so into its roots that it's made this way that actually you just have to build the shitty UX way, because that's how the market is working. And at some point, maybe you can shape the market to change, but actually to do that, you need to become the market leader. And in a way, like to your point, will you be able one day to change the format of the letter of an invoice in Germany? Maybe, but the day you have like 90% of the market, and the day you get there is, I hope, soon, but it's going to take time. So meanwhile, you have to adapt to those shitty kind of UX that you believe won't work, but actually the market is made this way.
Yeah, and until then, you'll be seen as a sort of foreign entity, not really to be trusted. So we're getting close to the Q&A, so I'll just ask a last question to Tatiana. There's been an absolute wave of development in generative AI in the last year or so. How are you thinking about AI at Miracle, and how has it impacted your roadmap?
I think if there is a company who is not investing in AI, I must think twice. But at Miracle, we are also in exercise of building the yearly roadmap for next year, and I can tell you we are massively investing in AI. AI itself is for us. It's a product. It's a product that we'll be using AI on many aspects. On every single product of Miracle, we embed AI. I can give you some example that. Typically, I told you Miracle, part of Miracle product suite is the catalog integration. So, we want to make it very smooth. We want to use AI to really help a seller to onboard into a platform in a days. Thanks to AI, we will be matching automatically his categories with the operator categories, actually. AI will also be used to personalization, help have a real-time personalization when you go online, making sure we show you the right product. When you online, you buy online in marketplaces, of course. We are also going to use AI for estimate estimated delivery date. When you buy online and you want to know when your product will be delivered, today is based on the static configuration. we know that this product category is usually when it's carried by this carrier, it would take 2 to 3 days. But we believe that with AI, we can be more aggressive, and that will help us fight Amazon's also. Amazon, to be transparent, this is our goal, to be more performant than Amazon and delivering faster by being able to anticipate, to give a more accurate estimated dividend using AI. So we have a lot of initiative around AI. I think there is no squad in America who is not thinking about integrating AI to drive efficiency, actually, and automation.
That's super interesting. It's really turning roadmaps upside down. So I'll just ask Tatiana one last question. If there are a lot of PMs in the audience, if you could give one piece of advice to PMs, what would it be?
My favorite one is be obsessed about your customer. Know your customer. Know how they act when they use your product. Sometimes if you can go to the, I mean, we are B2B, so it's what we encourage our PM to do is go to visit customer and in their word, in their office, see how they use our product. Because the more you know your customer, the better you'll be able to help them and even go further. You asked me for one piece of advice I want to give to you, if you don't mind. My second one is don't do what customer wants, do what customer needs. The distinction is very key. So, yeah.
Okay, and Ben, same question.
I would say so. I'll answer two as well. I won't say one. I think there are two ones I would say. So when you're building a product in the company, I think we tend to underestimate communication. So my message would be you never under communicate, always over communicate. And the way one day someone told me like the day until people tell you shut up, you're not communicating enough. So like as product, like keep on saying what you do because that's how you get feedbacks and you can build a better product. And then the second one would be more on the career standpoint is like always go where it seems hard because that's where you learn. But sounds obvious, but I think sometimes in as PM, and I've been through that, like it takes you a year to really understand your scope and you say, okay, now I understand what's happening. I can fast forward and see evolutions. When that comes, I would tell it's time to move because you've built something solid that you can give to someone else. And it's time to go like fix something else elsewhere.
Okay, so great piece of advice. So now we're going to have the Q&A. Ibra is, or is it Mark who's going to give the microphone? Yes, Ibra is going to give the microphone. Any questions?
Thank you. Hi, I'm not used to speak on the mic. I have a question for BlaBlaCar. As a product manager, we should be able to adapt our roadmap. And I have a question since 3 years for you because in 2019 you adapt to one situation. It was in end of the year, so you should have some priority defined at that time. And in France we have a strike, and you, how to say, you joined the market of I don't know how to say in English, covoiturage with BlaBlaCar Daily, and I see the app evaluate every week or every day, I think, and I want to know how you manage your roadmap on that situation, because I understand you was not on the spot of the market. You integrated quickly and you evaluated very quickly. So every day, every week you had features. So after 3 years.
So maybe I think there are two questions here. So indeed, in 2019 we had strikes. Actually, we had COVID in 2020. Then we have the war in Ukraine in 2022. So kind of like bumps on the road. We've been pretty good at that. The stuff is that we never change the roadmap when those things happen, actually, because there are things you can't plan. So when the strikes happen, basically, we just don't do it because just we let the marketplace work, and actually the marketplace works by itself. When they had COVID, actually we haven't changed the roadmap. We kept what we had. We adapted at some point, but at the beginning it was very much like let's keep on what we have. War in Ukraine was roughly the same. So we kind of, because otherwise you kind of do like we're a 800 people company and we have 400 people product and engineering wise. So like turning right and left, like it's a big ship you have to move. So it's better to stay still, see how things evolve, and then adapt along the way. Because what we've seen is that when we try to react pretty quickly, actually you either disturb teams, or actually you disturb teams. Second, it takes a lot of energy to make the ship move, and the outcome isn't clear. And actually we learned a lot because in COVID, first COVID, we did stuff to react, and everything we did, we trashed like 3 months after, because actually you kind of, situation is unstable, so you just ship stuff. And then to your point on BlaBlaCar Daily, that evolved, actually, this one was a lucky one in the sense that the strikes happened at the moment where the app was supposed to go live, so there was no like connections between what you've seen, quick like evolutions and the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question for you, Benjamin. So I listened to a podcast a few years ago from Rémi Guillot, used to be CPO, I guess you know him really well. And he was talking about simplifying the product as much as possible. And when it comes to road mapping, he was saying that in your roadmap, you were putting more things to simplify the product than to actually add features. So I was just wondering, how do you prioritize that? Like, what would be the impact of removing a feature rather than adding a new one?
Yeah, so I think when Remy did that podcast, it was a time where actually we had built so much complexity in our product that it was slowing us down. And so at that time, and that's when we did the famous day I was talking about, when we removed 10% of the code base, because at some point, basically we were slowing, like we couldn't move. Like we had so many stuff to manage that we had to remove. And the way we prioritized that was, again, it was like, I always like to think about those as enablers. Is like removing a feature, just like in a way it doesn't have that much value. However, it enables you to do more stuff. And the way we prioritize those is that, in a sense, that if I remove that feature, that means I can spend time on doing X, or I can spend time on building that next feature that I would like to do. That's how you prioritize that, which is the same we use for engineering migration. Actually, you don't migrate for the sake of migration. Like engineers would love to, but actually it's like you migrate because you feel that by doing so you can enable more stuff for your end users, and that's how we frame it, like enablers. That would be my answer to you.
I have a question for the both of you. You talked about how the communication, which is important for the roadmap. How do you communicate? Do you have some meetings during which you present the roadmap to who actually? How do you? What is the tool that you are using for your roadmap and to communicate about the roadmap?
Yeah, I can start then. Communication of the roadmap is key, as Ben said. I have never heard anyone in the company say, I know everything about what the product team is working on. Usually they're complaining about the opposite, no matter what we're doing. Actually, we have some rituals to communicate the roadmap. We have the first, I'm going back to my product committee. The product committee, the purpose of the stakeholders is also to flow down the information about the roadmap within the respective team, actually. And the tool we are providing them to make it efficient is product bot. In our product bot, we want to make sure the roadmap is easy to understand. Everyone who has access to the roadmap should be able to understand the description of the feature, the business value of the feature, and the timeline of each features. So product bot is for us, it's a key enabler for the communication. And then we have the quarterly meeting within the labs, all the labs team, and we invite mainly almost the whole company except sales, for some reasons. And where we go into detail, it's a full day where we go through. As I told you, America is a product suite, so we have four products now, 5 soon 5, And we go through the detail of each roadmap, of course, outlining the business value, the problem we are solving, the solution we are bringing, the expected benefits. Basically, it's not. We want to avoid a situation where we are here to list features. It's something we really don't want to do at Miracle. We are not a feature factory. We are here really to bring value. And so during those, everything is okay. During this quarterly meeting, we communicate through the let's say the whole company, and afterwards we have what we call a quarterly kickoff with key stakeholders, senior stakeholders, with the CEO of the company, and we communicate about the roadmap, etc. And there is a Slack channel as well about the roadmap. If anyone in the company wants to dig into a specific topic, he will reach out the relevant product manager, because the good thing is with product board is each roadmap is assigned to a product manager, so it's easy to know which person to reach out when needed.
So it's super important for us. The way so the yearly roadmap is presented to the whole company, let's say early Jan, when we say that's the big things we're going to work on. Then we actually pick the 20 biggest topics that people care about, and on those we do a monthly reporting that is shared with the whole company. It's like, okay, on those big 20 big topics, this is where we stand, that's what we've done, that's where you should follow. And the rest is Slack. So you have a Slack channel per team, and the teams share their roadmap. They even share what they are doing on a bi-weekly basis. And then we have actually a Slack channel where every new feature released in production is shared. So if you want to know what's happening in the product, you get there and you know what's happening. So basically, it's a push method from product engineering, where actually we push content wherever we can, and then it's for you as an employee, and we tell you where it is, so you don't have to find yourself, but like it's for you as an employee to get the information you want to know. So today you're curious about what payment team is doing, you go to see the Slack channel of the payment team and you find that out. If you're curious about what the bus team is doing, you go there, and they have like and we kind of template that, so we don't use any tool, like it's really a Slack and Google Docs. And we have templates of slides that every team is using, so you can look at a template or a roadmap of any team, and it's the same template, so it's easier for you to understand.
Okay, so we're at time. Thank you all so much, and thank you to our guests. It's been a really great discussion. Let's give them a round of applause.